Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle and I am the creator behind Lily Rose Craft Room. And for today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to create these beautiful puff shirts with Tech Wrap Craft's new Glitter Puff HTV and their printable vinyl. But before we get started, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so you guys don't miss out on any new videos. All right, let's get started. We're gonna start off on Cricut Design Space. I found this image on Google. It was a black and white photo, and I just edited the colors to make it how I want it to be. We're gonna start off with sizing. So the printable vinyl that I'm using is a size A4. So we're going to just select auto resize image, and that's gonna automatically resize the image to whatever the A4 paper size is, which is a 7.194 by a 10.243. Next, I'm gonna make a background that says love. So for this, I'm going to use a font. It's called Real Wavy Stacked, and this is from Creative Fabrica. I do have a special link for a free trial to Creative Fabrica. If you guys wanted to try it out, you get 10 free downloads or 1 month free, whichever one comes first. And you'll get this download for free also. So this is the one I'm using. Once again, it's called Real Wavy Stacked font. So to download it, you just hit that green bar that says download, and you're gonna follow the steps to download that font into your computer. Now that I have that font downloaded into my computer, I'm going to select the text button on Cricut Design Space, and I'm just gonna type out love, and then I'm gonna change the font. So we're gonna go to the system, and we're just going to search the name of the font, which was Real Wavy Stacked. So I'm just gonna, for short, type in stacked. And this is how it turns out. They're all stacked together. When I first downloaded, I thought I was gonna type it in multiple times, but you just type it in one time and that's how it is. Next, we're gonna adjust the size. I am using a Gildan medium top. So the width of it, I'm doing it a 9.5 because it's gonna be a height of like 14 inches. So that's gonna be good. Next, I'm just going to change the color of my font. That way I get like a visual of what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna choose a color that's similar to my vinyl. Next, I'm gonna show you guys how I slice the center of the font. That way we're able to put the design in the center of it. So we're just going to duplicate the design. In order for us to slice that image into the love, we need to change this into a cut only file. So right now it's a print then cut. So first I'm going to unflatten it, and it's going to change it into a cut file. And then we're gonna make sure everything is highlighted in that image, and we're going to select weld, and this is gonna weld all the pieces together. Next, I'm going to offset this black design, and the reason for this is because I want a little space between the puff vinyl and the design. So this is why I am adding the offset. So we're just going to select that offset on that top bar, and the offset size I like for this is a 0.140, and then we're gonna select apply. So now that I have my offset on top of that silhouette, I'm going to highlight everything, and we're going to select combine and weld. So this is the image, and it's just a little bit bigger than what our original image was. Next, we're gonna change the operation to a basic cut again, because in order to slice it, they both need to be cut files. I'm gonna overlap that black design on top of the love, and then we're going to go on align, and we're going to center it. So once it's centered, now we're going to highlight both the love and that black design. Next, we're gonna go to the bottom right hand side where it says slice, and we're going to select that. And doing this, it's going to slice the center of it. Now, since that center has been sliced, we're gonna go over to the right hand side where we have that slice result, where that square has that hole in the middle. We're gonna select that eyeball to hide it for a second. Now we're going to highlight all this. We don't need it anymore, and we're just going to right click and delete it, or you could just select backspace and it'll delete it. Next, we're going to select the eyeball again to unhide that love font that we have. And next, we're just going to see how it looks like centered. So we're going to bring that Hello Kitty to the middle. We're going to highlight everything and select centered. And you can see that little gap between the image and where that vinyl is going to be. and it gives it kind of like space, and it just gives it a cleaner look in my opinion. Next, we're ready to start printing and cutting. So we're gonna select make on the top right hand corner. Then for my mat size, I'm gonna select the 12 by 24 inch only because that vinyl is very long. So if you don't have a 12 by 24 mat, just make your design smaller so it can fit on the 12 by 12 mat. Our Hello Kitty print then cut image does not need to be mirrored even though it's an HTV, but the one that does need to be mirrored is the HTV vinyl. So we're just simply going to click the mirror image, that way it could cut backwards. But like I said, this one, since it's printing straight on and the adhesive is in the back, we don't need to mirror that. Next, we're gonna select continue, and then for the image, we're going to select send to printer, and I'm gonna show you my settings on how I print this design. I always make sure that the bleed is on, and then I always select use system dialog, that way I'm able to change the settings, the print settings. We're gonna go down to preferences, we're gonna select that, and then on document size, we're gonna change that to A4 because the printable vinyl that we're using is a size A4, and that's a little bit bigger than the letter size. Next, for the paper type, I always select the premium presentation paper matte, and then on quality, I switch that to high. And then we're gonna select OK, print, and then let me show you how I load my printer with the printable vinyl. This is a printable heat transfer paper that we're going to be using. It is from Tech Wrap Craft and it comes with 15 sheets. If you guys are interested in shopping at techwrapcraft.com, make sure to use code LilyRose for a discount. These printable heat transfer papers were made for a regular inkjet printer, so you don't need a fancy schmancy printer. If you have an inkjet printer that you use for your small business or whatever, it will work. This printer that I'm using is an Epson ET3750, and it's an inkjet printer. I believe this model is discontinued, but any inkjet printer will work. For my type of printer, I feed it into the bottom feeder, and I make sure that the watermark is facing up. So this is how my design printed out. Next, I let it sit for like 5 minutes. That way I make sure that the ink was completely dry. Next, I'm going to put it on my Cricut mat. So for this one, I am using the 12 by 12 cutting mat, but for the other one, I'm gonna be using that 12 by 24. So I just make sure that it's completely straight on my Cricut mat, and then I use a brayer roller to press it on. I don't use my hands just because I don't want to get any oils that my hands have onto the printable vinyl. Next, we're gonna go back to Cricut Design Space so I can show you the settings that I use to cut out the image. I'm gonna be using the iron on, printable iron on for dark. And if you don't have this one, go ahead and select browse all materials and find printable iron on dark. Next, we're going to feed it into our Cricut machine. First, it's going to read the registration marks around the image, those corners, those black corners. And then once it's finished reading them, it's gonna start to cut it. Once it's done, I'm going to unload it and set it aside. And next, I'm gonna be cutting the puff vinyl. So Tech Wrap just came out with their new glitter puff HTV, and they're very, very popular right now. I noticed that once they restock, they always sell out like instantly. So if you see them available, make sure you get it quick because like I said, they're trending right now. They're new, everybody wants to try them out, and they're super, super sparkly. So if you see it, get it, and don't forget to use code LilyRose for that extra discount. They were generous to send me one of each color, so I just wanted to show you what each one looks like. The one I'm gonna be using for today's video is the Puff Rose Gold Glitter HTV. I found that applying the HTV to my mat this way just makes it easier. So I align it on the top first and then I roll it out. And then I just cut the piece off with my rotary tool. Next, I use a brayer tool to make sure that the HTV is really stuck on the mat. Next, I'm ready to put it inside my Cricut Maker 3 so it can cut. The cut setting that I used for this is Iron On Glitter HTV. Next, we're just gonna let the Cricut cut and do its thing. and then right after we are going to weed it. So I like to flip my mat face down and pull the mat instead of the HTV, because if you pull the HTV then you're gonna have curling, so your best bet is to flip the mat upside down and pull it out. Next, we're gonna start weeding our designs. My favorite weeding tool is this needle tip weeding pen, and it works really good. So we're just carefully going to weed our designs, and make sure you do it carefully. Don't pull it too hard because you might rip a piece of your design. So just do it very carefully. And this glitter vinyl is so pretty. This color, like I said, it is the rose gold one, and it is beautiful. So this extra piece of vinyl, the trash, I recommend cutting out a piece and testing the puff before you actually press the real thing, because the puff vinyl is kind of tricky and I did have some trial and error. So if you have like an old t-shirt or something, you should try it out and get your settings right before you actually press the real thing. Next, we're going to weed out our printable heat transfer paper. And the backing of this is black, so it's made for black fabrics, but I don't see why you couldn't be able to use it on white fabrics. Maybe because like if you see it through like the inside out, but no one's gonna be looking inside your shirt, so I would use it on whites in light colors too. Next, we're going to be applying the heat transfer mask. So if you use vinyl and like adhesive vinyl, you're familiar with using transfer tape. So this heat transfer mask is basically the transfer tape for HTV. And this works well like if you have a design with a whole bunch of different cuts and you want to make sure you put it straight. I do recommend applying the heat transfer mask. So if you have a large one like this, you can just peel the Hello Kitty off and just like place it on your garment. But I'm gonna show you guys how to use the heat transfer mask. There is a film protecting the stickiness of this. So you're gonna peel the film off, and like the flimsy stuff is the film, which is trash. And the one you wanna keep is the thicker, sticky one. So you're going to place the sticky side onto your design. You're gonna press it on and then use a squeegee to make sure it's really attached to it. Next, we're ready to press our designs. So the press that I recommend for the puff vinyl is a clamshell like this. It looks like a clam, because you're able to adjust the pressure, and with this puff vinyl, you need a lot of pressure. And I know a lot of people have the HTV RON, and I've tried using the HTV RON with the puff vinyl, and since there wasn't much pressure, it didn't come out right. So like I said, you need a lot of pressure. I don't recommend like the Cricut Easy Press or the HTV RON Auto Press. You need a clamshell to put heavy pressure. So here's an example that I did with the HTV RON Auto Press. I just did like a sample test. So this blue strip, like I said, I did it with the HTV RON Auto Press, and since there wasn't enough pressure, it gave me like that brains texture. And you also get this brains texture when using like the Cricut press, because you need a lot of pressure. And these two, the pink and the blue, I did these with my clamshell. The brand that I use is called BetterSub, and I added a lot of pressure and the puff came out perfect. So when doing this, I do recommend a clamshell press because you need that pressure. Here's another test that I did. I tried pressing with the recommended temperature and time, which was 310 degrees for 15 seconds. And I did notice that it didn't give me the puff that I wanted. It was kind of like, it was still puffy, but it was a little bit flat. And I did notice that my glitter got a little bit dull. So I lowered the temperature and I tried again. I tried it at 275 degrees for 15 seconds. And this time it gave me a better puff and my glitter was like really shiny. So like I said, before you actually press your puff, try it out with like the scrap pieces that you weeded. Try it out on like an old t-shirt or something, because you don't want to ruin the shirt that you're actually going to be working on. So play around with the settings, see what works best for you. Next, we're going to prep our shirt. This shirt that I'm using is for myself. It's an adult medium. It's the Gildan brand that I got from Michaels. We're gonna start off by prepping our shirt. So I'm gonna use a lint roller, and I'm just going to pick up any lint that's attached to the shirt. And the reason for this is because if you have a lot of lint that's on your shirt, once you put your vinyl, it gets attached to the lint and not the shirt, so it creates air pockets. and then your vinyl is not gonna last. So use a lint roller and pick up the lint. Next, you want to press your shirt under your press for about 25 seconds, and this is going to remove any moisture that's stuck in your shirt. This step right here is one that you do not want to skip when using heat transfer vinyl. Let me just show you what happened when I didn't press and remove the moisture. So this is one of my first shirts. I thought it was perfect when I opened it, but you can see the steam coming up. So that steam is trying to escape, so it's lifting up the vinyl and it started to wrinkle. So this is what happens if you don't press your garment first and remove the moisture, because that steam will start to come up and it's going to ruin it and wrinkle it. So here it is, guys. I don't always do things perfectly. I do have mistakes, and this is one of them. One of the many. Okay, so back to our tutorial. Okay, so I pressed my shirt, removed the moisture. I did it for like 25 seconds at 310 degrees. And then we are going to align our design. So before I press one of them, I align the shirts. I put that little marker up in the collar so it shows me like where the design should be. So I just like make sure where it is. And then to take off the transfer mask, this is how I do it since I already have it like where I want it to be. I cut that paper in the back, and then I lay down the sticky part on the shirt, and then I take the bottom piece out. So it stays where I had it placed. Next, we're gonna put it inside our press, and then we're gonna add a sheet of butcher paper on top of it. And then we're going to press for 325 degrees for 25 seconds. After the 25 seconds is up, you're going to open the press, take out your shirt, and let it completely cool down before you peel off the heat transfer mask. I'm using a cold pack I got from the freezer. So you can either just wait if you have patience, or you can put a bag of frozen veggies or something. Once it's completely cool to the touch, you're going to slowly peel off the transfer mask. I did notice it took a little bit color off of the edge, so maybe next time I should add a white offset border so it won't take off the black. Next, I'm going to layer on top of that Hello Kitty design our glitter puff HTV. So I'm just making sure that it's very straight, and then we are going to put it inside our heat press. So for the glitter puff vinyl, I changed the heat setting to 275 degrees, and we're gonna press it for 15 seconds. Once those 15 seconds are up, you're going to open up your press and put your shirt aside, and you need to completely let it cool down, like cool to the touch, before you start to peel it. This is a rule that you really need to follow, is that you need to let it be completely cool, because if you peel it when it's still warm or hot and the vinyl lifts up a little bit, you won't be able to repress it, because if you repress puff vinyl, you're gonna either flatten your puff or it's going to wrinkle. So you really gotta follow this rule. And then once it's cool to the touch, you wanna slowly and carefully peel off that carrier mask. And like always, here is the finished look. I really love how the puff came out, how glittery it is, and how vibrant the printable vinyl is. I really, really love these, and I can't wait to wear these. I made the Hello Kitty for myself, and then the Kuromi and the cinnamon roll are for my daughters. These are only for personal use. I don't recommend selling these products that are copyright images, because I've heard horror stories that like you can get your Etsy shut down or your Shopify shut down. So these are only for personal use, and if you want to sell these, do it at your own risk. That is it for today's video. If you guys watched it until the end, thank you so much. Show me by putting hearts in the comments below. Also, comment down below, what is your favorite Sanrio character? Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. It really helps my channel grow. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!